Buenos dias, clase. It's your maestro here. It's Senor Lim here to talk about one important thing I want to talk about. It's this thing called the boot verbs. Okay, so before we begin, I just want to begin by a little review. Okay, so watch this. Dunk. Here's your repaso. Remember, the first rule in the conjugation club is to drop off the ending. So you have a couple endings, okay? All verbs either end with AR, ER, or IR. The AR, ER, or IR. Now, I have comer for here. For example, if I take off that comer or that ER part, I'm left with com. So I just took off the ER part right here, the ER, and then I'm left with com. Now, if I wanted to conjugate this verb comer, alright, into the yo form, the tu form, the el, ella, usted form, so on and so forth, I would add an ending. Which ending would I use? Would I use the AR endings, the ER endings, or the IR endings? That is correct. I would use the ER ending. So if I want to say like I eat, it'll be yo como. You eat, tu comes. He or she eats, el, ella, usted come. We eat, it'll be comemos. Y'all eat is comes, and then they eat will be comen. Okay, so that is the basic form of just conjugations. Okay, now, once again, I told you this is something different. Okay, this is something irregular. It follows the same rules, but it's just a tad bit different. We have these things called the boot verbs. Now, with boot verbs, they're also called stem changing verbs. Now, stem changing verbs is the grammatical way of saying it. Boot verbs is my funny way of saying it. But the stem changing verbs have regular AR, ER, or IR present tense endings. Okay. Now, here's what happens with the boot verbs. For the E in all stem changing boot verbs, it goes to an IE. Okay. So once again, the E goes to an IE in the stem changing boot verbs, except for the nosotros and vosotros form. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, for example, I have querer. The verb querer means to want. Look at that. My very first rule I have to do is take off that ER ending. I'm left with quer. Alright? Now, here's what I need to do. Well, first of all, there's my stem, quer, and there's my ending, the ER. Alright? Now, that E in quer changes to an IE when we conjugate it, except for the nosotros and the vosotros form. Okay? And this is why it's called a stem changing verb. Okay? There's a reason why I call it a boot verb, but this is the reason why I call it a stem changing verb. You see on the stem right here, that stem is the one that changes. Okay, this stem is the one that changes. Alright, that E goes to an IE. Okay, so why do I call it a boot verb? Well, here I'll show you. If this doesn't make sense, I'll show you something in a little bit right about now. Okay, so once again, I have querer. Okay, querer is an ER verb. Querer means to want. And you notice right here, too, I have that E right there. I underline that E because that E is going to be the one that changes to an IE. So look, for example, querer means to want. If I want to say I want, oh, I'm sorry. When we drop off the ER of the filler, the parts that remain is called the sum. Okay, that's all review. So, if I want to say I want, it's yo quiero. Notice it's in the red. Okay, that's where the change is happening. Tu quieres is you want. El, ella, usted means he or she or you form of want. Okay, let's go right here of quieren. Okay, that would mean they want. Now these forms right here, if you could follow my mouse right here, follow the mouse. Okay, these are the forms that have changed. This is what I call a stem changing boot verbs. Okay, it's not in the boot. Okay, so it's in the boot, right? Because whatever's in the boot has a stem change. Look at nosotros and vosotros. We have queremos, queréis. These E's did not change. Why not? because they're outside the boot. Okay, so this is why they are called a boot verb. Alright, if you could see that, my mouse. Okay, and I will show you if you're still a little confused or like, what the heck is a boot? Alright, I can show you again the boot verbs. Okay, so I'm going to continue on the next part. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to pause it, and I want you to go to the left hand side of your notes. Okay, you should have some notes. And if you don't, write this down. I want you to use the correct form of querer. Alright? So I want you to conjugate querer or to want according to this right here. So pause it right now, and then we'll go over your answers. So pause. Alright, so if you have paused, here are your answers. Quieres, queremos, queréis, quieren, quiere, and quieres. I would tell you, look at número cinco. Número cinco is my favorite sentence. Juan wants to eat. Look at that second word. Comer is a verb, but it's not conjugated. And we'll get back into that in a little bit. Or look at número cuatro here. ¿Quieren ustedes dibujar? Meaning, do you want to draw? Look at dibujar. Dibujar is my verb. It is not conjugated. Interesting here. Alright, so I'm going to continue on. Now, there are some other stem changing boot verbs, okay, that go from E to IE, okay. So we have cerrar, means to close, okay, and look at that E right there. That E changes to an IE only in the boot, okay. Empezar means to begin or to start. That E right there, the one that's underlined, that's the one that changes to an IE only in the boot. If we look at entender, entender means to understand. That E right there, that's the one that changes to an IE. Okay, the E goes to an IE, but that only happens in the boot. We have pensar, it means to think or to plan. That E changes to an IE once again, and that only happens in the boot. And finally, we have preferir, to prefer. Once again, that E that's underlined right there is the one that gets changed in the boot. Okay, everything outside the boot doesn't get changed. Alright? So, let's go ahead and look at this next slide over here. Okay, so wait a minute. How do I know which E to stem change? Well, here's the deal. In stem changing verbs, okay, in that stem, it is the next to last syllable that changes, okay, or the second to last syllable, okay. I will take a look at preferir, alright. Preferir, okay. We notice this IR does not change, okay. Preferir, that IR does not change. That's the ending, so you take it out. So this E, the second E right here, is the one that changes. Alright, so that's how we know that which E changes, okay? So example here, Paula prefiere el vestido azul. Paula prefers the blue dress. Okay? Look at querer. Alright? This is two syllables. Querer. So the second to last syllable that has that E in it changes. What's the second to last syllable? Well, it's the quer, okay? Or entender. Second to last syllable gets that changed, so that that E there, right here, gets to change. Okay? Pensar, there's only one E, you should know. Pensar, that's the E that gets changed. Alright, what I want you to do right now, go ahead in your notes again. Off to the left-hand side, you have 5 sentences. Please go ahead and fill in the blanks with my correct conjugation. Alright? So, once again, pause it for me, please, and then check your answers. Okay? Pause it, do the work, check your answers. Go. If you did pause it, here are my answers. Yo prefiero comer las manzanas. Notice again that comer, look at that. That's my verb right here, followed by preferir. Didn't conjugate. Pretty cool, huh? Catalina quiere cantar. That means Catalina wants to sing. To sing is a verb. That thing did not get conjugate. Muy bien. Tú no entiendes, meaning you don't understand. I like that, okay? Nosotros empezamos a comprar ropa nueva para el invierno, okay? They start to buy new clothes for the winter. Oh, here's the thing. Empezamos, why didn't this E change? Oh yeah, that's right. It's not in the boot. Alright? And finally, número 5 here is ellos cierran la puerta. They close the door. Okay? That is in the boot. Okay? And it does get that change. Now, once again, here's the thing. Here's the one thing. When I have a verb that is immediately followed by another verb, the second verb is always in the infinitive, meaning that it does not conjugate. Watch this. Ellos aprender español, and then blank jugar basketball conmigo. Okay, so look at the one in the blue. The one in the blue, aprender, for example, is my infinitive. It does not get conjugated because I want to say they want to learn Spanish. How do I say they want again? That's right. It's quieren. Alright? So, ellos quieren aprender el español. That aprender is not conjugated. A lot of you will make that mistake and say, oh, quieren aprenden. No. No, no, no. That would be like they want, they understand. Or they want, they learn. That doesn't make sense. They want to learn. Okay? How about you want to play basketball with me? You want to play basketball with me? How would we say that? Dang right, it's quieres. Quieres jugar basketball conmigo. Alright? So, remember, when we're making a sentence, that second verb, alright, if it's immediately followed by this, if it's immediately followed, or if you have two verbs and one's immediately followed, it doesn't get conjugated, okay? Alright, vamos a practicar. Okay, we translate here. They plan to go shopping. Alright? We want to listen to music, and the store plans to close at 8 o'clock. It should be p.m. Okay? So, alright. Pause it. Give me my answers. Ready? Go. If you paused it, here's my answers. They plan to go shopping. Ellos piensan ir de compras. We want to listen to music. We want to listen to music. It is nosotros queremos escuchar música. Hey, wait a minute. Why is this queremos here? Why is it not conjugate? Why doesn't it go from? Why didn't it change? That's right. Queremos is not in the boot. And the store plans to close at 8 o'clock. La tienda piensa cerrar a las 8. Looks pretty good to me, okay? We'll go ahead and practice this more in the future. This is a very, if you're comfortable with conjugating, this is cool. But if you're not, it's going to be a difficult thing to do, okay? So, please go ahead and practice for me, alright? So, once again, I just want to end it. This is all about the boot verbs, okay? Hopefully you had a good time. I did. And we'll go from there, okay? Adios. Peace. I'm out.